Last time on Dragon Ball Z.
You don't have to respond at all. Consider this my final note. People who act this way don't deserve praise, and the fact that there are still people who take what he says at face value and gas him up is kind of astonishing. A feminist man walks into a bar. His friend goes, "Yo, look at this," and shows him, gasp, pornography. They watch porn in this bar for some reason, don't ask. He leaves the bar, wanting to explode all women with missiles. Do I look like Emmanuel Macron to you? I wanted to just knock this video off my to-do list and move on with something else, but unfortunately the video we're covering is 53 minutes roughly, and we are 26 minutes in, and this video is an hour long already. So we're gonna have to split this into two parts. We are back again to cover the second half of this interesting video from SharkHunter. I'd recommend watching part 1 before watching this one, but here's just a rundown of the degrees, as well as the video's counter. To rip directly from part 1's script, Degree 0 is SharkHunter's video Pro Shipper Contradicts Herself, also technically Mr. Frost's video Mushroom Girl is a Disgusting Human Being, but that video isn't really relevant from Degree 2 onwards, so let's ignore it for now. Degree 1 is my video studying SharkHunter. Degree 2 is SharkHunter's video Debunking Idiotic Pro Shipper. Degree 3 is my video The Salmonella Speedrunner. Degree 4 is SharkHunter's video Final Response to Pro Shipper, the video I will be covering today, and lastly, Degree 5 is part 1 to this video, as well as the video you are currently watching. By the way, if you thought any of these videos that SharkHunter made are about pro shipping, you would be entirely wrong. He just has clickbait titles. Also, anytime SharkHunter lies, strawmans, makes a lie by omission, or misleads his audience in any way, I will be adding to a lie counter. It stopped at 26 in part 1, so we will be beginning from there. Well, without further ado, let's waste no time and continue.
How about you mention that getting salmonella through raw eggs is a 1 in 30,000 chance?
That is not what that screenshot says. That says that every 1 in 20,000 eggs are contaminated with salmonella. First of all, it's 20,000, not 30,000. Use your f***ing eyes.
Minor error in the videos? He said 30,000 instead of 20,000?
Ah yes, the minor mistake of fucking up a statistic by 10 fucking thousand.
Raw eggs. That's just not what your evidence says. Don't understand? Let me explain using a diagram. Here we have 20 eggs. The red one is salmonella infested. What you're saying is that when you eat your eggs, you are getting all 20 of this hypothetical batch, meaning there is a 1 in 20 chance of you to eat the infected egg. But here's the thing, you aren't eating all the eggs. These eggs are being distributed all throughout the country. Hundreds and thousands are getting these eggs, maybe even millions. For this smaller diagram though, let's bring in 4 more people. When dividing the eggs up among the 5 of you, your chances are now much higher for you to get the salmonella infected egg, especially when we bring in more batches of 20 eggs.
It's funny how she deliberately leaves out the fact that her diagram is based on people eating 4 eggs, not 1. Of course the risk is gonna look scarier if you multiply it by a multitude of 4.
SharkHunter, you do know that most people aren't buying singular eggs, right? People usually buy eggs in dozens, sometimes half dozens, so using 4 eggs instead of 6 or 12 was me being generous in your favor. Also, shut the fuck up with this multiply by a multitude of 4. Just say multiply by 4. What the fuck are you talking about? Why do you need to overcomplicate your sentences with smart-sounding word salad instead of actually saying things that are smart?
That's literally how math works. But does she mention that? Nope. She just inflates the numbers and sits there hoping nobody will notice.
Or, hear me out here, SharkHunter. The 20 eggs divided by the 5 people in the diagram is 4, and therefore I am going to divide them up into groups of 4 because that's how math works. You multiplied it by a multitude of 4. No, I didn't. I divided.
But taking a step back, we see that this is obviously really sad. The constant need to always feel right often stems from narcissistic personality traits, which can be influenced by a range of factors. Fear of vulnerability also plays a role. Accepting that one is wrong requires humility and openness, which can make some individuals feel exposed or weak. And we can see this throughout every single point she makes. She never concedes anything. She doesn't want to.
Hold on, guys. You can't see what my face is doing right now, so let me draw an accurate depiction. Okay, let's just ignore the elephant in the room for just a moment. I have conceded to things. I literally conceded to things in the beginning of the video. You're lying by saying I'm not. Now, with that out of the way, what? The suspect, Mushroom Girl, twitches her shoulder exactly 3 times in this part of the interview. This is a common trait of deception and means she exhibits traits of narcissistic personality disorder. I can't. This is so fucking insane. Do I even have to explain why diagnosing someone you've never met with a personality disorder is insane? No? Well, I'm gonna do it anyway. You don't know me, you're not a doctor, and you're literally 15 years old. Fuck off, dude. And I'm not even gonna get into how actually offensive this is to people who actually have NPD. You can't just label someone you think is a shitty person with NPD. That's not how this fucking works. That does nothing but stigmatize people who actually have this disorder. Can you stop acting like you give a shit about mental health when this is how you treat disorders that you don't fully understand?
1 in 20,000 eggs is not that many when you consider splitting it up among the millions of people in the country. You are bound to get salmonella quite a few times.
Actually, looking at how probability works, you would actually realistically not get salmonella until you're at the age of 55. And that's actually also a flawed comparison because most people don't start eating raw eggs until they're in their 20s or at least being independent.
SharkHunter, I don't know how to tell you this, but most people don't start eating raw eggs, period. And I find it funny how you don't even address the risks of eating undercooked meat, which by the way includes salmonella, as if we didn't need a higher risk of salmonella, E. coli, Campylobacter, I'm probably not saying that right, and Listeria.
Firstly, I never said I ate undercooked or raw meat. Again, you're strawmanning. I said I ate slightly cooked meat. Looking at the definition, it means not undercooked.
What definition? Literally give me a definition, because guess what? Slightly cooked isn't fucking meat terminology. We've already been through this in the last video. You are being an idiot, and I'm adding this to the lie counter because there is no way that any definition that you are citing says that concretely. Actually, no, I don't think there's a definition at all for this because, again, slightly cooked isn't meat terminology. There's no actual definition for that. It's entirely subjective. These bacteria can, of course, make the average person sick, but it can also kill kids, the elderly, and pregnant women. Yeah, this sounds like a pretty fucking healthy diet.
Oh my god, bro. I don't even want to hear her reasoning for throwing that in. Like, are you serious right now? She literally went off on me, calling me a fearmongerer, and then turns around and drops this. Guys, meat kills pregnant women, elderly people, and little children. It's horrible.
Am I not allowed to state facts now? A diet that has a high likelihood of killing kids and pregnant women is not the most evolutionarily appropriate diet, as you yourself called it. You're literally asking, Mushroom Girl, why are you actually debunking my point? Stop it, stop it, stop it. Like, this is actually pathetic. Like, this is insanely pathetic. You guys are seeing this, right? Like, I feel like I'm watching a crash out in real time of him trying to figure out everything he can to discredit me. He started by basically going, look at this stupid emotional woman, am I right, guys? And then he started going off about how I have NPD, I guess, and now he's trying to act like I'm fear-mongering because, what, I stated a fact that proves my point? Oh, the horror. Oh yeah, and not to even mention the fact that he kept hyper-focusing on the fact that I covered his video 4 months after he made his video, as if that means literally anything, and tried to, I guess, use it as a way to discredit me. That's what it felt like, but I don't even know because he was so unbelievably vague that I have no idea what he could have even meant. But he is hyper-focused on that fact so much that it makes it feel like he's trying to act like that proves something about me as a person. It's so weird. The things he's trying to do to keep his reputation is insanely pathetic and it's not working. You wanna know what would fix your reputation? Not saying stupid shit.
Forgetting to mention that all this comes from cross-contamination.
Wanna know what prevents any bacteria from being consumed? Cooking it. But I eat blue rare meat. I don't give a shit, that's not what we're arguing about.
You do realize that diet and contamination are two completely different things. Just because something gets contaminated doesn't mean the entire thing is automatically unhealthy by default. You dumbass. That's not how it works at all. Contamination is a handling issue and is not reflective on the food's actual nutritional value.
When did I ever say that meat wasn't nutritious? This argument also significantly weakens your earlier argument because why would the Japanese feel the need to heat treat their eggs if the risk of salmonella was so minuscule?
To make it absolutely safe to eat?
So you admit that non-heat treated raw eggs aren't safe to eat. Thanks, buddy. Glad to hear it come out of your mouth.
Mushroom Girl, you do realize that people wash their fruits and vegetables because they're afraid of a small percent of the viruses getting through, even though there is an incredibly low chance of those viruses actually being found on said fruits or vegetables.
Water alone isn't going to kill viruses. What the fuck are you talking about? People usually wash fruits and vegetables to remove dirt, bugs, and pesticides. Do you think people are scrubbing their lettuce with soap and water or something?
I don't know if you know this, but when you cook something, there's something called denaturization that happens. It basically means that a lot of the proteins you would have consumed become unbioavailable, aka a lot of the proteins don't accurately absorb into your tissue as well as they would have.
No, the it doesn't, at least not significantly, and even if the nutritional value was significantly affected, you're gonna lose all those proteins anyway when you start vomiting up your last meal from food poisoning.
One thing I want to clarify about this point is that I honestly think that that was a pretty weak point in my video, and I will admit that I shouldn't have brought that up. I more should have brought up the point of how a lot of vitamins and fat-soluble vitamins found in meat are completely erased. Because unfortunately now people think that meat is only used for protein and nothing else. But if you actually think about it, meat has literally every single vitamin and fat-soluble vitamin found in the world.
The ribeye shown here is fully cooked, meaning that according to this image you're using as your evidence, you can get all these vitamins from fully cooked meat. Meaning everything that you're saying about slightly cooked meat being better for you is entirely null. But to discuss your claim that meat has all necessary vitamins, sure, that might be true on a technicality, but vitamins such as C and E are extremely hard to get from meat in a normal daily amount. The very simple solution to this is to just eat fruits and vegetables with your meat, but of course you're gonna advocate for shoving pounds of undercooked or, I'm sorry, blue rare cow liver down your gullet because that's just so much more pleasant and easy, I guess.
You could actually live a pretty good and healthy life just eating beef itself. But anyways, a study done in May of 2023 found that boiling meat—
lamb meat, by the way, just lamb meat. I'm not saying that the results wouldn't be similar for other types of meat, but what I am saying is that this is specifically about lamb meat, and therefore, unless you have evidence that proves that other meats would have similar results, you should probably specify that this is just lamb meat.
for up to several minutes at a time can decrease the B12 amounts up to 50% in other fat-soluble vitamins. They found this as a correlation between heating up something and the decreased amounts of B12 or other vitamins found in said meats. Now let's go compare this with cooking. When you cook something, you introduce a lot of heat to it, which was the exact thing they found in the study that decreases the amount of B12 and other vitamins, especially when methylcobalamin, a form of B12, is subjected to insane amounts of heat found in things like cooking or boiling. It usually starts to break down the molecular structure and lose its nutritional value. And no, it's not only about protein. I should have actually bring that up in a point in my video, but I forgot to. My bad. And it's not even like a little bit got lost while boiling. Over 50% of the B12 vitamins found in said meat were completely gone.
That is not what that screenshot says. If you paid attention in math class instead of arguing with pro-shippers online, you would know that 100 minus 57 is 43, and 100 minus 74 is 26. Neither of those are over 50. I can let the first one slide because 42 is pretty close, but 26? Come on. You are massively inflating these numbers. Just like you inflated the salmonella to non-salmonella infested egg ratio. I'm seeing a pattern here. No. The animals just get those.
That's her response. They just get those guys.
Yeah. This is all he has to say on this point. No studies backing up his view, no logical debunking, literally just mocking me.
Oh wow, like you haven't done that before.
No studies backing up his view, no logical debunking, literally just mocking me. Does anyone have a noose? This fucking editing makes me want to kill myself. I wasn't mocking you, I was rage baiting. Rage bait? Holy shit! That is an unrelated kind of rage bait. Perfect yaoi aside, you're deflecting. This doesn't actually prove anything. By your logic, what you're saying right now is, oh, I did this stupid thing? Well, Mushroom Girl also did it, so we both suck. Probably because when I actually looked this stuff up, using multiple different searches by the way, I could not find a single article that linked factory farms to an increase or decrease in parasites in meat.
Majority of parasites that are found in meats come from, you guessed it, fecal matter contamination. And guess where that's most commonly found in? Factory farms! And actually, swine, pig would be at the highest risk of having this parasites because it eats its own feces. It's disgusting.
We're like 14 minutes into this video and I already think we need a break.
Piglets are born with their eyes open and their legs on the go. This is Pretzel, the only dark-haired piglet. His spotted sister Maggie. And then there's little Lulu, the pinkest piggy. Dark-haired Pretzel is always in the thick of the action.
Sorry, that was entirely unrelated. I just thought you guys needed a brain cleanse.
That's why in the Muslim and Christian scriptures it speaks against eating swine.
I literally do not give a singular shit what your religion says because I base my diet on provable fact. Not, hey guys, this deity said so, trust me bro. Guess what? Most animals are unsanitary. That's just how nature is. Just because a couple of religions have decided that this one animal is going to be the target of their scrutiny doesn't mean that that's actually accurate. The screenshot where you say that I have no morals because I'm agnostic happened on the same date at 1:08 p.m., aka almost 4 hours before the call ended. You talked about my religion first. Don't dish it if you can't take it.
First off, she had to actively dig through our old conversations we had almost 4 months ago just to find one line, and is now using this as some type of retroactive justification for behavior she was already doing long before she even brought that up. If that message was truly the reason why she started mocking my religion, why wasn't it in her first video?
Because I forgot about it. People do that, especially after 4 months.
Simple, because it wasn't the reason. The only reason she pulled the screenshot out was that she was worried and was thinking of ways to dodge accountability, as usual.
That's rich coming from Mr. I was in school at the time, so I couldn't have been dishonest.
Secondly, aren't you agnostic? You've said multiple times that you're completely open to the idea of a god. So how is me saying, find God, it's suddenly offensive? If anything, it's morally neutral.
Oh, so we're playing dumb now. What does God mean to you? Allah, right? A god I don't believe in, because I'm agnostic. If I believed in Allah, I would be Muslim, not agnostic. Agnostics are still a religious, you do know that, right? When I say I'm open to the idea of a god, I don't mean the Christian god or the Muslim god or the Jewish god. I mean I'm open to the concept of a divine power. If a god does exist, I doubt it has anything to do with these, in my opinion, man-made fairy tales. So no, SharkHunter, me being agnostic does not mean that you can try and convert me to Islam.
Agnosticism and atheism are not religions, and you know that. Trying to frame me saying find God as me mocking and attacking your religion is just straight up dishonest. And it's obvious you're just doing this to try to flip the script and dodge accountability.
Calling agnosticism a religion was a wording mistake on my part, and you have every right to criticize me for that, but that in no way changes my argument, so stop acting like it does in any way.
Thirdly, even if those messages were mockative towards you, which by the way, they weren't, how does that give you a right to continuously mock my actual religion months after I even sent those messages?
Guys, stop bringing up these old messages. I don't agree with them anymore. Anyway, let me proceed to defend these same messages.
Where is the defining factor that measures what is bad and what is good? Where do you get right or wrong from? Can you even say that there is a universal right or universal wrong? And if not, then there is no right or wrong. You're just saying that to make yourself feel better.
I mean, in my opinion, what's right or wrong is subjective, but most people's views on right and wrong come from the very common belief of treat others how you want to be treated. Again, empathy.
Mushroom Girl, where do you think that quote comes from? It comes from the King James Bible, you moron!
Oh yes, that quote I totally used in that clip. Do unto others how you would have them do unto you. That's totally what I said. Yeah. If a religion says something, does that mean that that idea automatically comes from that religion and that everyone who believes that is inherently connected to that religion? No! You're a fucking idiot!
And also, I asked you from an atheistic or agnostic perspective, where do you get objective morality from? And your brilliant response was empathy? Do you even understand what my question was asking in the first place, you absolute troglodyte? Like, seriously, that's not a moral foundation, that's a biological feeling.
Oh, I'm sorry. I got my morality from the atheist god. Like, what the fuck were you expecting? No shit, the people who believe in science over magic are gonna give you science shit instead of magic shit.
Empathy isn't universal, it isn't consistent, and it sure as hell doesn't define objective morality.
Not everyone believes in objective morality, dumb fuck.
Mushroom Girl, what happens if somebody doesn't have empathy? What if they genuinely don't care about anybody else other than themselves? No sympathy, no guilt, and decide to start hurting people because it benefits them. What now? If empathy is your only moral compass, and that compass doesn't exist for them, does that suddenly give them a pass?
A complete lack of empathy is most commonly caused by a mental disorder called antisocial personality disorder. Roughly 0.6 to 3% of the population has this disorder, meaning that by your dumbass fucking logic, I don't have to acknowledge or care about these people because they aren't the majority. That's something you said earlier in this video, which I covered in part 1.
Now she has bring the hyperglycemia argument quite a few times actually.
Hypoglycemia.
But what she forgot to mention is that this affects less than 15% of the global world population. Newsflash, Mushroom Girl, exceptions don't make up the majority.
But to actually address your hypocritical question, people without empathy can observe and copy the empathy others express. They may not feel this empathy, but they understand right from wrong in a more logical way that may not require feeling empathy itself. Also, therapy can help with people who don't feel empathy. Empathy is still, at its core, an important factor to base morality on, whether it's your empathy or the empathy of the others around you. So no, to answer the question I'm sure you actually want to ask, I do not believe that anyone should be using religion as a basis for morality. Can they? I mean, yeah, whatever, it's their life, it's a free-ish country, they can do what they want. Do I think it's right? Not really, but that's mostly because I think that religious texts such as the Bible and the Quran are nothing but fairy tales created by man to control people thousands of years ago. Not exactly what I'd call moral excellence, and certainly outdated.
You're acting like just having empathy magically tells people what is good or bad.
It kind of does, though. Again, it's the very simple concept of treat others how you want to be treated, which is enforced through empathy. You can still believe in and enforce this quote without having empathy. Logic is also a huge part of morality. Even if you don't have empathy, you have logic, or most people do. I guess you don't, but you're in the minority. The amount of subscribers you have is starting to make me doubt that you're in the minority, but, you know. Anyway, your pathetic attempt to turn me to religion is not working. I don't give a singular shit about anything your book says.
Newsflash, it doesn't. Sociopaths exist.
That term is extremely outdated. Just like your religion. Okay, I'll stop.
So do people raised in completely different environments with completely different moral frameworks.
So you're acknowledging the existence of subjective morality while saying that I'm wrong for acknowledging the existence of subjective morality. Okay. I'm sorry you don't understand this extremely simple and basic human concept.
Atheism would say that empathy is just a biological function that has no meaning whatsoever because we're completely meaningless. At the end of the day, we're just a bunch of precisely placed atoms in a certain combination.
First of all, not an atheist. Second of all, no. Empathy has a purpose. Its biological purpose is to help us build social connections. Just because atheists don't believe that it was given to us by an all-powerful magical being or something doesn't mean they believe it's meaningless. Also, our purpose is to reproduce and make more of our species. That's it. Same as every other species on this planet. You're viewing atheism in the lens of stereotypes. Every atheist is different and has a different view on morality and philosophy. Atheism would say, atheism doesn't say anything because there's no atheist Bible. You literally said it wasn't a religion. Stop generalizing a diverse group of people with different views on the world as this stereotype of people who believe that literally everything is meaningless. That's not what atheism is.
That's actually one of the main purposes of marriage in the first place, to raise a family together.
Which gay people do, by the way.
8% of the mushroom girl. 8%.
Oh, so now we're going back to, if it's not the majority, it can be ignored. I see that you only like to preach that when it's convenient for you, which is why you can cite ASPD, or as you like to call it, sociopathy, as a way to claim that a secular view of morality is flawed, when that's only 3% of the population. Less than the 8% you're claiming is irrelevant. So is acknowledging the minority okay, or is it not okay? You can't keep switching depending on what looks best for your argument.
Let's go compare that to heterosexual relationships, and we see a completely different pattern.
I literally never argued that the statistics were similar. I just acknowledged that gay people do have families. That's it. I never stated or even implied that it was the same between gay people and straight people. Relationships? Bad, even though they're found in many species naturally.
Okay, so tell me, how does two male ducks kissing, which is probably in the 1% of their population, correlate to our species and how it is correlated as natural in ours?
First of all, you're strawmanning. The image wasn't the source, the text was. Read the text. Second of all, even if gay ducks are in the 1%, the source I showed also mentions that 10% of male sheep are exclusively homosexual.
Okay, so when she mentions that 10% of sheep are homosexual or are classified or exhibit behaviors like that, I'm pretty sure she's referring to the development of male orientation behaviors in rams. In this tiny study, it was only conducted with 54 rams, with only 4 of them showing exclusively same-sex behavior. There is over 1.2 billion sheep in the world. Basing a sweeping conclusion on less than 0.00000000005% of the population is completely and utterly ridiculous.
I'm still waiting for that noose, by the way. This editing is really getting on my fucking nerves. Anyway, so you're saying that my article saying that 10% of sheep are exclusively homosexual is based on a study that claims that 0.00 whatever amount of sheep are homosexual? That's literally not how anything works. How do you know that this study in any way influenced the claim in the article if the numbers are not the same? Was it linked somewhere? I'm pretty sure she's referring to— No, you aren't. I said 10%. 10, 10, and I put a screenshot that said as such, not whatever study you pulled out of your ass to discredit me, saying, I'm pretty sure she meant this completely unrelated study where the facts don't line up with the source at all, is actual peak dishonesty. You're just trying to spin the narrative in your favor, and it's so obvious.
I don't give a solitary what your Wikipedia article says. That logic is absolute dog shit, and your study is dog shit.
You mean the study I didn't cite and never mentioned? One of the purposes of a relationship is reproduction. Well, clearly a ton of animals don't give a shit about that.
4 sheep, Mushroom Girl. 4 sheep.
Oh, nice try. You just thought you could sneakily cut out the part where I gave more examples of homosexual animals and think I wouldn't notice. Well, guess what, buddy? I noticed. Here's the full, uncut clip for you guys. First of all, you're strawmanning. The image wasn't the source, the text was. Read the fucking text. Second of all, even if gay ducks are in the 1 percentile, the source I showed also mentions that 10% of male sheep are exclusively homosexual. Want some more bird examples? Almost 40% of all male... Who the fuck is naming these birds? Guinean cock of the rock engages in homosexual behavior. For black swans, 1/4 of all pairings are homosexual. One of the purposes of a relationship is reproduction. Well, clearly a ton of animals don't give a shit about that.
Real classy, SharkHunter. You're really credible, and I'm sure everyone's gonna believe everything you say after you continuously show dishonest and shitty behavior.
And by the way, I'm not dogging on anybody. I don't care how you live your life.
Which is why you show a clear bias against gay people to the point where you're getting pissy over gay animals.
Saying homosexuality is unnatural within animals is an objective fact, not hatred.
No, it isn't. I literally gave evidence that showed it isn't, but you cut that out because it made your argument look bad.
And I just proved it to you.
You lied about my evidence. That's not proof. That's dishonesty.
At this point, instead of addressing any of my arguments, you're gonna automatically go to labeling me as something because I challenge your beliefs.
Like how you've been labeling me as an Islamophobe for thinking that Muslims don't get a pass on being homophobic.
Like I literally said, I don't hate gay people.
Thinking that gay people are unnatural sinners is still hate. Just because you don't feel violent urges against gay people or something doesn't mean you don't have preconceived notions about gay people that make you homophobic. And you saying that gay people are not allowed to be Muslim is discrimination.
Tell me one nutrient or one vitamin that is found in plants that is not found in meat.
Fiber. That's a pretty obvious one. Wrong. Fiber is a nutrient. You're lying. Vitamin C is also found mostly in fruits. It literally says here that people who eat a carnivore diet are more likely to suffer from vitamin C deficiencies.
She literally goes, guys, look, it even says it right here, as if copying and pasting an article automatically makes her right. But obviously, this is a classic appeal to authority fallacy. Instead of providing an actual study or scientific evidence, she points to an article like it's the ultimate truth.
SharkHunter showing unnamed, unlabeled, and uncited sources be like, oh yes, this is good evidence to own the lettuce-eating libs with me showing properly linked and cited sources. No, you can't just use an article as evidence, shut up! When SharkHunter shows evidence, it's the cold hard truth. When Mushroom Girl shows evidence, it's the appeal to authority fallacy. Actually, I show studies while you show measly articles. Okay, but what about when you don't? What about when you show these unlabeled snippets of articles, making it hard for people to find these sources and fact-check you? Every source I use is not only linked, but numbered, so people who want to dig deeper into the topic or fact-check me can easily find the original sources where my screenshots come from. Sure, you might show studies sometimes, but for a lot of these studies, you show barely any of the information, if any at all. What's the point of showing a study if all you're going to show is a few sentences of the abstract?
But here's the thing, an article is not a study. An article summarizes information, oftentimes without proper citations or context.
An article literally just means a piece of writing included with others in a newspaper, magazine, or other print or online publication. Nothing about that implies any lack of credibility or evidence. Hell, a study can be in an article. Whether an article uses primary or secondary sources, it's still credible if the information given is credible. You're literally saying that the only acceptable sources to cite are primary sources, and that is just not true.
And in the case of her fiber article, the article that she's using contradicts her arguments by admitting that fiber can cause problems for some people. So not only is she blindly trusting an article, she didn't even read it properly.
To use your own words.
Exceptions don't make up the majority.
No, dumbass. Just because some people need to lower their fiber levels, or even cut it out of their diet completely because of medical conditions, doesn't mean fiber is bad for you. You are such a fucking idiot. And of course this is another case of you being a blatant fucking hypocrite.
This is why we have nutrition specialists who can tell each individual person what their body needs. Y'all, me raw egg gulping is giving me scurvy. I find it so funny that this guy also says on veganism, despite the fact that veganism last night.
It's a horrible diet for the human system. It lacks like 50 different nutrients. B12, creatine, carnitine, calcium, magnesium, iron, methylfolin. The list goes on and on and on of nutrients that the vegan diet misses. Mainly because humans were not meant to digest plants and fiber because it goes straight through your body.
What? What? Humans are omnivores, you moron! You may be wondering, well, how do we know that? Well, humans have pointier front teeth for ripping meat and flatter teeth in the back for grinding plants.
Mushroom Girl, in the screenshot you showed, it literally said nothing about molars being used to grind down plants. You're just blatantly lying, or you're too idiotic to read your own article.
If you want to criticize me for making a wording mistake, sure. Go ahead, but I have a feeling you're only doing so to distract from the main argument, that being that humans are omnivores. The source literally states plainly that humans are omnivores. Any credible source you will find will say that humans are omnivores. It's a common fact. The sky is blue, the grass is green, humans are omnivores. That's just how it is. You learn the difference between omnivores, carnivores, and herbivores in elementary school. I mean, hell, we come from monkeys, and monkeys are also omnivores. There is literally no reason to believe that humans weren't meant to eat plants, nor have you shown any evidence that proves that. If you want to go on your weird little diet, do whatever you want, but to claim that that's the correct diet for every single person is just as nonsensical as the vegans you spend too much time giving a shit about. Fiber is an essential carb for gut health and prevents constipation.
Is that why fiber usually causes things like bloatedness and, you guessed it, constipation? Who could have known that the indigestible part of the plant, which we lack any enzymes to actually break down, would actually be linked to things like abdominal pain, bloating, and constipation?
To expand on that information, let me show you this. Yeah, no shit. Pun not intended. Not every solution is good for everyone. Everyone's bodies are different. That doesn't mean that fiber is bad for humans in general like you're claiming. Fiber does have health benefits. At the end of the day, you aren't a doctor. You don't get to decide that everyone should stop eating fiber because you saw a single study that showed that it can do more harm than good for some people, despite the large amount of evidence that points towards fiber being good for most people. This source even says that you shouldn't cut out fiber out of your diet without consulting a doctor. Why? Because fiber is generally good for the human body.
And by the way, if fiber is so incredibly amazing for everything, why don't you think our body would have adapted to use cellulose to actually break down the fiber and turn it into things like fats?
Because it's supposed to pass through. That's how it helps with gut issues. It's supposed to pass through the intestines with the stool. The fact that it doesn't digest is the fucking point. It's extremely good for your health.
No, it isn't, and I already explained why. That's literally just categorically false. The claims that, oh, it improves digestion is absolute dog shit when you realize that it causes bloating more than it actually helps digestion. And it's not even just people with IBS. People without any digestion issues still experience bloating if they eat a lot of fiber. And I'm not even saying that fiber is necessarily bad, but treating fiber like it's some god nutrient that's gonna cure all of your diseases and is gonna be so essential for your gut health is just bullshit. There's people who completely cut out fiber from their diet and live perfectly healthy and normal lives. Take, for example, the Inuit people who live in northern Canada, Nunavut. They literally eat nothing but raw meat, and they're perfectly fine. And checking up on their gut microbiomes, it's actually pretty decent, if not actually pretty good. They aren't croaking and dying because they aren't getting enough fiber from your nutrient-deprived, unbioavailable vegetables filled with phytic acid and anti-nutrients.
Fuck off, dude. You know jack shit about anything even tangentially related to nutrition.
Oh wow, and you're the expert because you read 5 fucking articles on the topic.
Except for the fact that when you click on my video, one of the first things you see is a disclaimer clarifying that I am not an expert on nutrition, and that anyone wanting to know about how they should personally eat should see an actual professional. It's interesting how there's no clarification similar to that in your video, just you spreading misconstrued or shaky factoids and treating them like gospel, not to even mention the armchair diagnosing. You aren't a professional in anything. Stop acting like you are. Stop playing this facade of, I support all religions, while behind closed doors telling non-religious people to find God.
First of all, when did I say I support all religions? I never said that. This is another case of you putting words in my mouth, strawmanning and then attacking that strawman. I've always been clear that I generally support religions like Christianity and Judaism to some extent because they are closer to the Abrahamic faith, which I believe to be closer to the truth. I never claimed to support every religion out there. Secondly, this is not behind closed doors. I made my points pretty clear on what I think about atheism and agnosticism.
Firstly, then why do you continue to attempt to push the narrative that you're okay with me being agnostic? Secondly, you hating atheists and agnostics publicly literally does not make you any better. Thirdly, I think I would rather eat a billion slimy raw eggs than watch a video named "What is Degeneracy?" Do you seriously think that anyone who doesn't follow your religion is degenerate? Is that why you're bringing this video up? Now, I hate the word degenerate with a fiery, burning passion because of its use during Nazi Germany, as well as its common use nowadays to put down gay and trans people, but if anything is degenerate, it's the fact that you, at 15, are obsessing over the sexual content strangers watch online or create to the point where it's all you can make videos on. I'm not even calling you a pervert, I just think that this is probably actually degrading your brain.
And third, non-religious people are not the same as religious people. Crazy, right?
What the fuck is that supposed to mean? Like, are you trying to say that non-religious people are lesser in some way? Buddy, you really aren't making yourself look not hateful by calling people who are different from you degenerates, and then proceeding to imply that non-religious people are lesser. I'll think that Islam and Christianity is flawed all I want, but you will never catch me devaluing someone as a person or implying that they are lesser because they're religious. That's just cruel, and I'm supposed to believe that drawing gay Muslims on a call with you is worse than this rhetoric you're spreading? Be so fucking for real. His homophobia.
Because I said the purpose of a relationship was to reproduce. I'm a homophobe?
Yes, because you said that after telling me to find myself a man. But MG, you said something similar to him first. Yeah, as part of my joke about implementing mandatory same-sex marriage. You don't respond to a joke with actual discrimination. That's called being an asshole.
So, you tell me, a man, to find myself a man, and it's just a joke. But when I flip it back on you, suddenly it's discriminatory. Holy shit, that is some Olympic level mental gymnastics here.
Because yours wasn't a joke. Want to know how I know that? My message was following a message I made joking about how we should make same-sex marriage mandatory. Obviously, that is a joke. Then, after I said, you better find yourself a man, jokingly, you said, find yourself a man, and then proceeded to make a not joking argument against homosexuality. What isn't clicking, my guy? How do you not see the clear difference between those two statements?
Mushroom Girl, said by a not-so-wise person who kind of looks like you and kind of sounds like you.
Don't dish it if you can't take it. Don't make joking statements punching up at somebody if you don't want them to punch down at you with serious anti-minority rhetoric. Duh, it's so obvious, guys. If you make a joke about a straight guy marrying a man, they have every right to spread actual homophobic rhetoric against you. Duh.
You literally said, don't dish it if you can't take it, in your own video, and now you're shocked when the same logic applies to you? That's like throwing a boomerang and getting mad when it comes back and hits you in the face. If you're gonna set rules, then at least be consistent. Newsflash, Mushroom Girl. Exceptions don't make up the majority. That's like saying junk food isn't unhealthy because some underweight people are advised to eat high-calorie meals. Just because a small group of people might need sugar in specific medical cases doesn't mean it's good for the general population. The article that she's using contradicts her arguments by admitting that fiber can cause problems for some people. Mushroom Girl, what happens if somebody doesn't have empathy? What if they genuinely don't care about anybody else other than themselves? No sympathy, no guilt, and decide to start hurting people because it benefits them. Listen, I've already said this multiple times throughout my entire channel. I have nothing against gay people. You want to be gay? I literally don't care. Do whatever the hell you want with your life. But I will hold beliefs that homosexuality is unnatural.
And those beliefs are not backed up by facts. Neither is the entirety of organized religion, but shh.
I seriously don't know why she even had to say that. Like, is she trying to prove that since she's agnostic and I'm religious, she's somehow superior to me? And if so, that's just a pathetic attempt at slander.
First of all, you don't know what slander means. Second of all, no, it was a joke. Third of all, you literally called agnosticism degenerate. Shut up. But showing you gay Muslims is crossing the line.
Continuously, by the way. I said it once in a conversation we had 4 months ago.
But then let's not forget the fact that you proceeded to expand upon and double down on those same messages.
One thing I did want to talk about is this message she sent here. Just saying so the statement isn't taken as Islamophobic, especially considering Sharky Boy likes painting anything that personally offends him as such. Wow. Just wow. Muslims believe in the Quran. Shocking, I know, but try to keep up. The Quran specifically mentions that homosexuality is forbidden,
which makes it homophobic. That's how that works.
This isn't new. So when you draw a devout Muslim,
it was actually 2 devout Muslims. Get your facts straight.
In contradiction to their religious teachings, yeah, that's gonna come off as a bit Islamophobic.
Keep coping. Literally nothing is going to stop me from supporting gay Muslims, real and fictional. Also, by this logic, every Muslim man character has to beat their wife when they do something wrong and see women as property. Is that really how you want to be represented in media? I personally have a huge problem with Muslims being stereotyped as terrorists or just generally violent and evil, because that's not true. All of this follow every word of the Quran or you're a fake Muslim is doing is harming people who want to love their religion without having to follow sexist or homophobic beliefs. You're trying to paint Islam as a perfect, amazing religion while also saying that anyone who doesn't believe its outdated and bigoted beliefs isn't a true Muslim. This is insanely counterproductive. You're alienating innocent people from a religion you claim to be correct.
And no, it's not homophobic, you dumbass. It's people recognizing that you're deliberately mocking their religious beliefs under the guise of, oh, I'm just making fun of his homophobia.
Believing that homosexuality is forbidden and sinful is homophobic. That's how homophobia works. Just because you don't want to hurt gay people or something doesn't make you not homophobic. Seeing gay people as lesser is homophobic. Seeing women as lesser is sexist. That's how things work.
Like, sometimes I wonder how people like this are even allowed a platform to speak when they're such manipulative, lying scumbags that always feel the need to contradict themselves. And to put the final nail in the coffin, look at the slideshow she puts at the end of her video.
You mean peak?
Like literal bottom of the barrel gunk type behavior.
Guys, SharkHunter had to be exposed to gay people. Everyone pray for him. He might not make it out alive.
She has no humility, she has no control over her ego or arrogance.
Oh, okay, shit, he just left. We are finally done with this video, and the lie counter's at 49. That's kind of sad. I honestly don't even have any final thoughts. I don't. This video is just so horrible in every way. Honestly, I think I'm done talking about SharkHunter unless he does something actually interesting that I feel the need to cover. If he makes a response, if it's just the same bullshit that it's been for all of the videos he's made on me, I'm not gonna cover it because at that point it's just getting boring and I need to cover other things. But yeah, I hope you guys had a great day. I hope you guys liked this video and part 1. Goodbye.